have a secret. One so big that not even my mom or my husband knows it. I've kept it inside me for many years, and I never had any intention on sharing it until my daughter was old enough. But now I finally feel that it's time to let you all in on it. My green bean recipe has been very closely guarded, and today I am finally going to share with you a little bit of the history behind it, the ingredients that it takes to make it, and the quick way how to make it. So first, let me tell you a little bit about the history. Back in Arizona, probably about 5 years ago, I was sitting at home and I just had the need to cook. I then went to the store and just grabbed a bunch of ingredients that I normally wouldn't eat. And I went home and I threw it together out of a whim, and it actually ended up being something that turned out pretty good. And I normally make it when I have company come over. It goes pretty good with something spicy, like spicy fish or a peppered steak. So now let's take a look at the ingredients. There's 10 main ingredients in this. There's green beans. You can either use fresh or the steamed kind. I prefer to use the fresh. Sweet peppers, purple onions, tomato on the vine is what I like to use because they just sometimes are redder. Portobello mushrooms, honey maple bacon, Moscato wine, sugar, garlic, and rosemary. Now, if you're worried about having garlic breath after eating this meal, don't be, and think about this. In an article written in November 2010 in Alive magazine, it's a wellness magazine for Canada, Stephanie Raymond wrote that studies have shown sulfur compounds in garlic actually may help prevent illnesses such as cancer, heart disease, and common cold. So load up on that stuff. Now let's take a look at the way to make it. My knife. It's a big one. I have all my vegetables here, and we'll get into that in a minute. But what you're first going to do is take your green beans, and you're going to cook them in water for about 45 minutes with a little bit of garlic and rosemary. It just depends on how crunchy you want your green beans. You're going to drain those, and I also suggest while you're making your green beans, you want to make your bacon too. Fry them to where they're crispy, but make sure to keep an eye on it because with honey maple bacon, it can burn really easily. So with your vegetables, I normally like to cut to where they're just really thin and throw them in the pan long ways because it makes the dish actually look a lot nicer. And this dish actually is a lot about presentation with the way it ends up looking. With your peppers, you just want to cut them just like that. And I like to use the yellow and the orange because it brings out more. I don't like to use too many of the red ones because later on the red comes from the tomato. So that also is another preference with however much you want to put in your dish. So next, while those are in there, you're going to take a little bit of Moscato wine. It's a sweeter wine. And you're going to pour that in, just a little bit. Of course, normally you'll have a lot more in that pan. Take a little bit of garlic. You can use fresh as well. And a little bit of rosemary in there. And one thing, keep in mind when you are cooking with wine is that the myth that cooking it, all the alcohol steams away, it's not true. It's a myth. According to the study done by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Nutrient Data Lab, on alcohol retention in food, it takes 2.5 hours on simmer time to leave just 5% of alcohol in a dish. So be aware of that if you plan on giving it to children or any of your sober friends. So once that cooks down, you're going to take your mushroom, and I like to leave them bulky, big and bulky, and toss those in there. Cook those for about 10 more minutes, and once that is done, taste test it. Add a little bit of sugar if you want. Some people don't like this too sweet. I actually really like it sweet. So I actually started doing this last night so I'd have time to show you everything. Once all your vegetables are done, you're going to take them and you're going to then put them in your green beans, just like that. Now you're going to go back to that bacon that you had. And you're just going to crumble it, just like that, and toss it all into the recipe. And here we come to that lonely tomato that's been sitting here waiting for us. You're just gonna ever so slice thinly. And throw them just like that. Right into it. You're gonna take your little stir and you're gonna stir it all up. And finally, you are done and ready to serve and eat. And it looks just like that. See what I'm talking about, presentation? So now that I've told you a little bit of the history behind it, the ingredients that go in it, and how to make my green beans, I dare you to try it. You might think that, oh, this recipe just isn't for you because of some of the ingredients in it. I don't like that stuff either once in a while. But you might surprise yourself, so go ahead with it. Thank you.